Hey guys, welcome to a basic beginner-friendly Feral Druid opener guide, and in this video we will be addressing one of the most common asked questions whenever I stream. It is, how do I open, what do I do in the opener, and how to do damage in the opener. So hopefully this video can serve as a good guide, reference point, easy to follow for all you beginner Ferals out there who are trying to learn Feral and want to improve their gameplay to make it a lot more smoother. So before we get into the demonstrations, I want to talk about three different things, and they are Talents, Conduit, and finally Covenant. When we do openers, it is important to understand why we do them instead of just blindly following a video, because in that way you can just learn more and kind of just be more comfortable and knowledgeable about Feral Druid in general. So let's get started with Talents. The biggest thing that can change up an opener, or one of the biggest talent choices that can change up an opener, is whether you're playing Feral Frenzy or Bloodtalons. In simple terms, if you're playing Bloodtalons, your openers are much slower because you need to generate not 5 combo points, but you need to generate Bloodtalons with 3 different combo point generating abilities. And while if you're playing Feral Frenzy, it is a much slower, but faster opener, mixing up my words, but Feral Frenzy is faster, Bloodtalons is slower. However, with Feral Frenzy, you can dump all your bleeds up, press Feral Frenzy, and go for a huge ferocious bite at the end. So it is important to know that these talents can change opener up a bit, and you'll be pressing abilities slightly differently depending on whether you're Bloodtalons or Feral Frenzy. So with that talent being done, let's talk about Conduit. So this Conduit, Taster Blood, is kind of the driving force of how I think about openers in Shadowlands. So when it comes to Shadowland openers, I'm always thinking about, and this is just my opinion, but I think about, I want to get up as much bleeds as possible, as fast as possible, combine all those things together with all my cooldowns and hit a big ferocious bite at the end. So this is because of Taster Blood Conduit, right? So how this works is that when you are bleeding up a target, your ferocious bite damage will be increased on the target per bleed by a certain percent. So if you have the max rank of this conduit, the percent is 30% pretty much. So if you have 3 bleeds, the most common being Rake, Rip, Thrash, your ferocious bite damage will be increased by 9% on the target. If you're playing Feral Frenzy, it will be 12% because Feral Frenzy has a bleed component. So that's why whenever you see the Feral Frenzy openers that Ferals do, commonly they will just rip very early at low combo points, Feral Frenzy, then bite, because at that point they're getting all their bleeds up, and then they can combine it with a huge bite at the end. Alright, so that's Covenant, or not Covenant, but Conduit. So let's go on with Covenant. Covenant isn't really that important when it comes to opening. You will be doing the same openers if you are Knife, Kyrian, Venthyr, Necklord. In this video, I am Kyrian. So in Kyrian, I think Kyrian Ferals kind of have a really good edge in openers because you can press low empowerment and you can just pretty much buff your bite or buff your damage at the end when you're trying to bite. So if you are Kyrian, you'll be pressing low empowerment before you hit your big ferocious bite. If you're not Kyrian, you're Knife, Necklord, Venthyr, you can just do the same opener, but you don't have the Kyrian ability. However, I want to touch upon a couple of things when it comes to the Covenant. So some people are playing Necklord nowadays, and they're playing this spec when it comes to Necklord. It is basically a dot spec. I'm not going to show this opener in this video, but I think it's kind of important to note, simply because when you're playing this type of spec, it's more on focusing on the biggest bleed possible than the biggest bite possible, if that makes sense. Because at this point, you're just Lunar Inspiration, Bloodtalons, you just want your big bleeds being buffed by Adaptive Swarm, but we're not going to get too in depth about that. That will be for a different video in the future about Necklord. But if you're playing the typical Saber-Tooth, Feral Frenzy, Bloodtalons, we will be doing openers revolving around this. And if you are not Kyrian, Kyrian, there's pretty much any covenant you can follow this and your opener should still be relatively strong. Alright, let's get to the demonstration. So we can talk about Feral Frenzy first and show example of Feral Frenzy openers. So basic, you get in stealth, you go to your target, you want to Rake, Thrash, low combo point rip, target Fury, Kyrian if you're Kyrian badge, Feral Frenzy, go for the big bite. And you can just go from there. And that's your opener with Feral Frenzy. As you can tell, we kind of addressed the points that we mentioned earlier. We put up the bleeds as fast as possible. We put up a lot of bleeds. We culminated all those things to get the big ferocious bite in a very, very short amount of time. So that's Feral Frenzy. Now we can talk about and show Bloodtalons. When it comes to Bloodtalons, you want to proc your Bloodtalons by using 3 different combo point generating abilities within 4 seconds. And in the opener, we will be doing a Rake, Thrash, Brutal Slash, so we can proc the Bloodtalons. Then from there, we can build up to 5 combo point rip with the Bloodtalons proc. Then after that, we can go with building up more combo points to 5 for the big ferocious bite at the end. So let's get started. Let's go in stealth, go to a target. Let's clear combo points rather. We're in stealth. You Rake, Thrash, Brutal Slash, get the Bloodtalons proc, go to 5 combo points, rip, build up to 5 combo points again, Tiger's Fury, Kyrian badge, and hit the big ferocious bite at the end. And that's the Bloodtalons opener. It is much slower, but you still get the same effect. You have all your bleeds up, you have a big rip, followed by a big ferocious bite, buffed by Bloodtalons and different modifiers. And yeah, those are the common openers that you can do as Feral. And to be honest with you guys, these are like openers that I do all the time whenever I play Feral, even at low rated and even at high rated games actually. Like I never really do any different openers aside from the ones that I showed you. So they are very simple and very effective, and if you can get them down, I think it will improve your Feral gameplay a lot more, because I think opening up properly and doing damage properly opener can actually be very crucial, because if you know how to open really well and do damage, you can actually force a lot of cooldowns in opener and just kind of like win based off of that. Oh, actually, sorry, there's one thing I forgot to mention, and it is Berserk. So a lot of Ferals actually like to Berserk in the opener, but when it comes to my style, I don't really like Berserking in the opener, because in my opinion, if you can just do your opener properly and well enough, I don't think you really need the extra like burst with Berserk, and I think you can just save that for another time whenever you're like another time in the game that you're playing outside of the opener. But I thought that was also important to mention that I kind of forgot. But yeah, I think that's about it when it comes to Feral Druid openers. The video is relatively short, but hopefully it is very easy to follow and you can learn a lot from it. So thank you guys for watching. I will be back next week again with a new video, so stay tuned. See you guys later. Peace.